Let's say you're leading a team meeting with the main goal being to decide on a new donor database. 2 hours later, you've heard passionate arguments from your team, 5 different options, and you're running out of trail mix in the middle of the table. Then someone says, so who's actually deciding this? There are blank stares across the room, and that is the moment everyone realizes nobody knows. I'll be honest, I'm very guilty of doing this myself. When I was the executive director for my Lifeline Cancer Foundation, the organization I founded, I thought being a good leader meant pleasing everyone and inviting all staff into every decision. I wanted them to feel included. But what happened? Our big group wasted time spinning in circles and indecision. People left meetings frustrated. I didn't know it then, but I'd confused inclusivity with clarity. Today, I'll share a decision-making framework that saved the day and helped us address this challenge for good. Welcome to Nonprofit CEO Spark, the podcast for bold leaders ready to navigate growth and change with energy and confidence. I'm Marcia Beckner, nonprofit founder, former executive director, and culture strategist with nearly 20 years in the social impact world. Each week, I help nonprofit leaders stop spinning out, set boundaries, and design inclusive cultures where all staff can thrive. If you're ready to reignite your leadership without sacrificing your well-being, hit subscribe and let's spark your next chapter together. My team didn't need me to open the floor on every single decision. They needed me to be clear on who was deciding what. And that was a tough lesson for me to learn. Think about the last time your staff debated endlessly about a group decision. Did your team walk out of meetings knowing who was making the final call, or were they just a little more confused? In my case, what finally helped us stop spinning out, well, it wasn't a what, it was a who. My turning point came thanks to our program manager, Nicole. One day she pulled me aside and gave me that, Marcia, we need to talk look. And she kindly asked, have you ever heard of the RACI method? And I shook my head no and thought, oh great, another acronym, RACI, just what I need. But then she walked me through it, and let me tell you, it changed everything for me as a leader. RACI, RACI, is an acronym that stands for identifying in advance of a decision who is responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. I did some research, and it goes back to the 1970s when IBM project managers needed to stop the chaos of too many people touching a project. It's basically a simple matrix. Think of the one who is responsible as the doer, or the doers. It could be a team of people. The one who is accountable, where the buck stops here, the final decision maker. And then the consulted are the advisors or subject matter experts. And then the informed, the people who just need the FYI after the decision is made. Now, when we started using RACI at my Lifeline, it was like someone turned the lights on. Suddenly, we weren't tripping over each other. Projects got done faster, meetings became more efficient. And staff understood when their input was needed versus when they could move on with their work. And I have to admit, part of me felt embarrassed. Why hadn't I known about this earlier? But here's the thing I did learn early on, and I tried not to get down on myself about it because leadership is about learning, and the learning never ends. So for me, it was liberating to realize I didn't have to carry every decision or include every voice in the same way. RACI gave me the permission to lead with both clarity and respect, and it made us far more effective as a team. Research on data-driven decision-making in nonprofits found that good data alone does not guarantee better decisions. Clarity in who interprets the data, who decides based on it, and who acts upon it is crucial for organizational change. So where in your projects right now can you bring more clarity about who is responsible, accountable, consulted, or who simply needs to be informed? Now, there's a second acronym that might work better for you, so try this one out too. See which works better. It's called DACI, D-A-C-I. This one was born in the 1990s, so a little more recent, at Intuit, the company behind QuickBooks. Picture a Silicon Valley projects team needing to ship products faster, but instead they were getting bogged down in debate. So DACI changed the game for them. DACI stands for driver, approver, contributors, and informed. Driver is the person corralling the input, scheduling the meetings, and forging momentum. Approver is the single person who makes the final call. Contributors are the experts who weigh in, and informed, like RACI, are the people impacted and who need to know. So there's a very slight difference. Do you notice it? RACI is about who does the work, and DACI is about who drives and who decides. And that tiny shift can also speed up decision making. So nonprofits can learn from this too. When boards, staff, and executives all want to say, and I know that sounds familiar, RACI and DACI help make sure we don't confuse input with authority. Or, to quote a nonprofit quarterly article, quote, "Many nonprofits struggle not because decisions are bad, but because they are implicit. When authority is made explicit, staff frustration decreases and efficiency improves." So let's talk about you. In your projects today, do you have a clear driver and approver, or are decisions still getting stuck in committee? Now, RACI and DACI are not just corporate jargon. Research backs it up. Let me share 3 data points. First is that McKinsey found that organizations with clear decision rights are 2 times as likely to hit top performance metrics. A second data point is that Harvard's Amy Edmondson has shown that clarity boosts psychological safety. People feel safer speaking up when they know their role in the process. And third, a leadership alignment review of nonprofits found that, quote, "Functional alignment, clarity in roles and responsibilities among nonprofit leadership team members is strongly associated with smoother collaboration and team performance." Have I convinced you yet? The bottom line is that clear decision-making roles don't just save time, they reduce conflict, build trust, and make people feel respected. This is not just theory, it's a formula for healthy teams and stronger missions. So let me give you an example. Going back to that donor database decision I mentioned in the intro. Here's an example of how RACI would save the day. Identify who is responsible. It could be your COO or operations director. He or she organizes the process, gathers staff input, and keeps things moving to meet the deadline. Who's accountable? This is one person. You could assign the executive director or development officer. One person makes the final call after hearing the input about the various options. This is not a committee being accountable. It's one person, ultimately, who decides the donor CRM. Who is consulted? This could be a team of your development staff along with an IT or finance person. Who are your subject matter experts that can make educated recommendations to you? And then finally, the informed. Your board members and program staff who will be impacted but don't need to decide. Suddenly, instead of a 3-month marathon spin cycle, the COO coordinates input. One accountable leader makes the final call, subject matter experts contribute, and affected stakeholders are informed. So, which is better, RACI or DACI? Well, both have their place. If you're running a multi-phase, larger project, RACI gives you structure. If you need speed and clarity, DACI can be your best friend. Here's your spark plug shift for the week. Think about a team project where you want staff input. Imagine applying the RACI or DACI framework to your next decision. It could be a hybrid policy update or a program launch plan. Who would you list as drivers, the approver, contributors, and the informed? Here's your spark plug shift for the week. Think about a team project where you want staff input. Map it out DACI style. Pick your drivers, your approver, your contributors, and just this one step can transform endless debate into clear, respectful decisions. Try it and watch how much lighter and more balanced your workload can feel. Remember, healthy debates don't need to end in stalemates. With a clear framework like RACI or DACI, you can build trust, respect, and make decisions that move your mission forward. You can find the full transcript of this episode at culturecares.com/12. If today's episode gave you language for something you've been carrying, let that clarity settle. You don't need to solve everything today, just the next right thing. Leadership isn't about pushing harder. It's about pausing long enough to decide well, protect your energy, and lead in a way that's sustainable for you and your team. Until next time, take care of yourself, trust your leadership, and keep sparking the kind of culture where people and impact can thrive. If you like this episode, you'll love the free guide I created for you called 4 Strategies for Nonprofit CEOs and Executive Directors to Reduce Burnout, Unify Your Team, and Build a Culture that Lasts. Grab your copy today at culturecares.com. Thanks for listening to today's episode of Nonprofit CEO Spark. If you're ready to turn burnout into boundaries and build a healthy, happy culture where everyone, including you, can thrive, visit culturecares.com to learn how I support nonprofit organizations like yours. If this episode brought you value, share it with a fellow leader navigating stress and overwhelm. And remember, you are meant for great things, and you don't have to burn out to prove it. Until next time, keep leading with courage and confidence.